Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It's Tuesday, it's about 5 o'clock and I've nipped out for a wee overnight between shifts like I tend to do. Only got one real reason for this trip though, well this just wee quick jaunt, and that is basically I'm out to try the Tarptent ArcDome before I send it back to Film and Dave, who kindly sent it to me. So as you know, if you've seen my videos before, I did a kind of back garden quick once over assessment, but I just want to actually try it. Get out for the night and then just live with it for a few hours and give you my impressions after that. Oh, 19 degrees, an amazing April in Scotland. It really is like May, if not beyond. And as you can see, the problem now is fires. Wildfires are breaking out in quite a variety of places. So there'll be no wee fires for me tonight. So the Tarptent ArcDome, it really is just a case of, should you buy it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you strike it off the list completely? So that's what we want to try and find out tonight. I've got my eyes on the one person one, which I think is out later this year, from Henry Shires. Really looking forward to that, because I think that may be a cracking all-rounder at a really nice weight, in TNT fabric preferably. But we'll see how the two-person gets on. It'll give me tons of room tonight. Trying not to break a sweat, because I've got no change of clothes, just want to keep dry for tonight, because it'll probably get chilly. Last few nights have been sub-zero. So I've had a look at one campsite, but didn't like it particularly. I'm going to head over to another wee familiar spot you've probably seen me in before. And it's really just because this is the kind of test bed area for my trying kit. It's a big footprint on the ArcDome, which is one of its major, well, not a major issue, but it is a consideration. So I need a big spot to put it in. I've decided on a nice breezy spot here. Relatively flat, should be able to just squeeze the tent in. The vestibules might be a bit on the slope, but I'm hoping my main sleeping area will be alright. And it's breezy, as always, breezy on this wee hill, which is good. So it'll give the tent just a wee bit of a buffeting till we see how it handles and see how noisy it is more than anything else. So let's have a look at just how bulky it is first of all. So that's it there. Tarptent ArcDome TNT fabric. It's nice and light, it's about 1.7 or 8 kilos I think. Fully complete with pegs and poles, but no footprint in it at the moment. So as long as my camera doesn't blow away, it's on the new Craft Geek tripod, which I'll show you. It was in my last video. I'm using it again this time, and it's pretty handy because the legs extend out further, so I'm less likely to have a camera shot that falls over, which happened all the time with the previous one. Compressing it in, it's probably still about 15 inches long by about 6 inches. So yeah, TNT will only compress to a certain extent in a tent this size, but it's not bad. It's comparable with my QU Stormstar, I guess. It might pack a wee bit smaller with a Siln Island, and the pole sections themselves are quite short. So yeah, it's not really going down a hell of a lot. You could probably possibly fold it or scrunch it. You could probably tuck it right down the bottom and then start to pack stuff on top. There's no denying it is light for the space it gives you. And I'll show you more of that once we get inside. And the carbon poles also help, but I do have fear about carbon. There always seems to be something going wrong with them, whether it's Easton or whether it's used by Dustin or it's used by Tarptent or it's used by MSR or North Face for that matter. I've seen and I've experienced problems with them all. So I tend to fall back on, I think, for the weight difference, a set of DAC DAC poles is probably a safer, more reliable bet. There's some splintering going on at one of the joints here. So it's not so much that the metal ferrule has moved, which is also an issue where the glue comes away, but on this one the actual pole end has started to splinter slightly. Easton nails, 7075 alloy nails. So there's 8 of them, which is the 4 corners and 4 guys, but actually you could probably do with a few more. 2 pegs in just to hold it in place there. But yeah, it's massive. I'm almost running out of space. I think I'm going to have to come back a bit here to give myself a slightly flatter lie here. Nicely made attachment points. Everything's got a kind of X-Pack or Dyneema type reinforcement, so it gives confidence for such a light tent. I think you put the crossing pole where there's a break in the sleeve first. That's just from memory, so I'm hoping I've got that right. The sleeve is a bit sticky, I have to say, and it's purely because of the rigidity of the fabric. And also now you've got it through this end, you've then got to kind of stretch over and keep feeding this end. So yeah, I think in a storm it sure ain't the quickest. It's the convenience of things like that, which are really about safety and getting under shelter as quick as you can. You can see how slightly difficult it is just to get this in, and then at the corners it doesn't immediately go in. That may be my fault though, because I've guyed this in too tightly, so we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Right, it's now in that little Dyneema pocket, that's good. I always think of the short end as being the same, so putting a pole in at this end, would it make me expect to put the other pole in from that end as well to a captive sleeve? But it's not. It's actually two open ends on the long side, I think, and then you have to feed them that way. So not as bad as I thought, but it's just something to me seems a bit counterintuitive. Just two poles, in theory simple. There's nothing to mark this. I don't think this is in any way highlighted, you know, to find it in the dark in any sense, but being a relatively simple tent, I don't think it's a major issue. Again, getting that pole in was a faff. It caught at the guying point and it caught again at the captive end point just before it went in. It presents a lot of area to the wind. Wow, we ended up with a weird old warp going on here. That's better. I really don't like these little nylon pole pockets. Are not good compared to plastic. Oh, right now I cannot get that anywhere close to position. There's something wrong. Yeah, it slipped out the sleeve. Yeah, I hate these nylon pockets. Really awkward to get into, especially when the wind's blowing like this. Yeah, better. As it came out the factory, it was so tight, Dave had to modify the tapes here, cut them and make them longer. And now we have a yellow cord just to tension it. The tent itself is quite quiet in the breeze though. So I found a dead tree further down there. I've managed to grab 4 reasonably solid dead bits of wood that might act as a couple of, well, 4 extra pegs. With a little help from nature, including about 7 or 8 sticks, I've finally got this pegged out to my satisfaction. Not a strong wind, I don't think it's probably more than 10-15 mile an hour. So really just a stiff breeze. But yeah, let's get inside now and concentrate, I think, on some of the strengths of this tent rather than what's annoyed me so far. Is it has 2 vestibules, so access for you and your partner, and or, depending on the weather, cooking on either side. It also has the offset inner, but I believe it was Tarptent that kind of invented the kind of offset parallelogram inner before Dan Durston did it. Put that there. Glad to see the tie backs are elastic, that's good. I think it also ties back all the way back to open up the whole door, but I won't do that for the moment. And I think it's a 2-way zip in here. Yeah, so they've put pullers on the zip toggles themselves, so it's a wee bit easier to open with gloved hands. But can you spot what I see as a problem? Look how short this door zip is. Look how limited your access is inside. It seems like a real wasted opportunity to have a far bigger door on the tent. So when you open a door, the tension of the hoop relaxes and it shoots out left and right. So when you come to close the door, if you repeg it thinking that it's nice and taut, you'll not be able to close the door, it'll stop here. So I've set a line on here which I just measured roughly to make sure that the thing stays in the right position when the door is open. It actually comes with one line you can do that with, but for some reason they haven't fitted it on the other side. It definitely feels wide enough to be a comfortable 2-person and long enough for me. I'll check the length of the mat in relation to it. I brought the Light Tour winter mat again tonight. It's my go-to. We'll sort the kit out. There's lots of pockets. There's a couple up at my head here, and I don't know if you can see it, but at this end, and a couple right up here, a bit like a gear loft. So that's nice. That's good. It looks nice and livable internally. Right, okay, I just have to find a decent lie. I think I'm slightly sloping left to right, so we may go diagonal, but the good thing about this tent, solo, tons of room. Right, we're nearly there. That's the Decathlon sleeping bag in, a wee Decathlon pillow, and as I said, the Light Tour mat, and that is the sum total of my sleep system tonight. And because I've got 2 vestibules tonight, this pack can get safely stowed out the way in here. So yeah, it's quiet now I'm in. I did detect some fluttering actually off a vent but it's stopped again. I'll let you know if that becomes annoying. But yeah, nicely spacious. The silicone floor is really slippery as it is standard, so I can now see why Dave has put big streaks of silicone sealant across the floor to try and stop things moving. To be fair, it's not actually stopping it. I'm maybe in the wrong place. But yeah, you might want to put some dabs of silicone on the floor of this, especially when you're on a slope like I am, because I've got a feeling I'm going to slide right down to the end. So the flex tail pump also becomes a light, so I've just hung that on the hook at the top, and you can see the two pockets above you here that also act as vents around about the roof vents. And above me, above your head or your feet, fairly generous full width pocket. I've thrown some kit in there, and if I spin you around, hopefully you can see that, I've got drone and all sorts of stuff in here. So yeah, it's not bad for storing stuff away. There's no pockets further down on the ground, but I actually like that. It just keeps the floor plan as comfortable as you can get, so you've got the maximum width for two people. I think I'm also beginning to sound like a broken record in terms of kit, but I've got the fire maple again with me tonight. So I'm a fan of the TNT Ultra fabric. It's kind of sailcloth, usually used in sailing stuff. But yeah, it works very well as far as I can see. I did notice one tiny little puncture hole, and I don't know if it's a burn mark or whether it's been stabbed with something, possibly even a crampon from Ben McDewey. But there's no reason to believe that this isn't fairly robust stuff. It certainly inspires you with a bit of confidence. Not a fan of the prop vent design. It's over engineered. I don't know why it needs to be like this. I would just have a wee rod inside a nylon sleeve like every other tent, attached and sewn into there with a velcro option for the lid. I'm at high line, even if I try and tuck this out of the way, that's a bit better. We're still talking, I'm not even on my mat at the moment. This door zip is just too low. It wouldn't even be bad if they just added the extra 12 inches up to the top here. The inner is completely solid, but it doesn't have the option to vent it. Other than the area above your head, you can't unzip the doors and make them mesh only. Even a third of the panel, a bit like some of my Force 10 tents or the Vango tents, would be good, just to increase a bit of airflow and reduce a bit of hot air if it's a really hot day. It does come with a full mesh inner. It's not something I would probably buy. I'd rather just have the solid inner but the ability to vent it a bit more. Right, summer vibes tonight. A wee salad with some barbecue chicken in it. Nice colours now. It's about 8:30, but it's still light, which is nice. Sun's gone, but there's a lovely colour in the sky. And the lights of Luss on your left hand side there. That hill in the background there, I think, is the first, it's the first wild camp I ever did. I was probably about 15, 16. And you're now talking, what, 62. Still haven't lost the urge. You can also see a wee light up in the hill over there, which, as far as I know, there isn't a house up there. It's pretty high up. I think that's probably somebody in a tent or with a strong light. Windy and chilly outside, so I've come in, closed the outer door, closed the inner. As you can see, yeah, that's a lot of space. Nice. I'd really like my QU Stormstar for the two of us, I have to say, for the internal space, but this is not far off it. It's got a similar, fairly spacious feel about it. That's going to drive me mad. That's like somebody actually attacking you in your tent. I'm going to have to play around with that a bit. So it's about 9:30, but the wind seems to have picked up out of nowhere suddenly, which is why I come up here, to be honest. It's random the way you get these winds. It is an interesting one. The tent is still pretty quiet. It's not flexing much, but I'm very aware of the wind billowing over it, and more so the inner actually, because the inner catches quite a lot of air, I guess, because the fly sheet doesn't touch the ground. So you get this kind of, not flapping, that's a bit extreme, but just the billowing of the inner tent, as you can probably see. Don't know if you can see it, but there's one wee camper up above me, about a mile away and about 150, 200 feet above me. Right, just been out for a pee and brushed my teeth, and I'm just going to hit the kit now, do a wee bit of editing and hopefully get a good night's sleep. Yeah, it's a game of two halves. The outside of the tent getting up, bit of a faff, a few bits and issues here and there. Inside, once you're in, it's been very good and very comfortable. Anyway, I'll give you my final thoughts in the morning. Right, I'm more or less packed up, so we'll just get this away. We'll head down quickly and I'll just tell you my final thoughts as we head. Leave no trace as always, and let's head back down to the car. So, final thoughts on the ArcDome. Well, in no particular order, overall it's a pig to pitch. It needs some adjustments made. I think the tensioning straps at the corners are in the wrong place. I also think they're overly tight, even though Dave has modified the one that I was using. The pole sleeve that is in two pieces on one side should have a little bridge tube to join it up. That would make it a lot easier. Once it's up, you really need to use all the guy lines. Otherwise it's not that stable. They're big panels and they'll bow in quite easily, but once it's guyed, it was very good in the wind, to be fair. And TNT fabric is really quiet. The door opening on the fly sheet, there's no rain gutter on it, so water will run down into the inner, or down the inner front and into the vestibule, which is a pain in the backside if you've got a footprint. The inner door on the inner tent is way too small. It could be made a lot bigger, at least higher for a quarter of it. And even better if they could make it open right round the whole inner tent, so you get the full opening of the side of the tent like you can do with the fly. So that would make it a lot easier. The prop vents are over-engineered in a very strange design. I don't know why he's gone. I don't know, Henry, why have you gone for that design? I'm not sure. I could make it a lot simpler, I think. You also have to be aware of, because the doors don't close completely at the top and are almost permanent vents, last night in the wind, it can catch the wind, and one of them was chattering like hell, so I had to adjust it and close it and then velcro down that vent rather than being able to use the vent, because with the vent open the chattering was ridiculous. Internally though, once I was in, yeah, much more happy with it. Internally, great space, not a problem with that. Loved the high up pockets, which made it very comfortable. In fact, I've got two reservations about the inner. So number one is the ground sheet. The inner tray ground sheet should probably be in polyurethane rather than silicone. I was sliding all over the place. At 3 in the morning I was down the bottom of it and tucked into a corner, tried to push everything back up again, and within an hour I was back down there again. I wasn't on that much of a slope. And the other thing is, I noticed when it went still during the night, it got quite damp inside, which you kind of get with a lot of tents. But partly the reason for that is the inner is completely solid other than the roof mesh. And so ideally I'd love to see the option to open up the inner doors to become part mesh at least, or have mesh only and roll back the polyester. And it would just make it a much more flexible and more ventable inner tent in all different conditions. Yeah, so overall, no, I wouldn't buy one at the moment. Although I'm looking forward to seeing the solo version, but it'd be really nice if I could iron out just the little foibles it's got, which kind of just strikes me, it's almost like a prototype. And hopefully they'll take on board some of the user experiences and they could be tweaked, because overall I think it could be a really good tent. Love the TNT fabric, by the way, it was great. So thank you for watching, everybody. That's another one over and done with. A nice wee test. I need to get this tent back to Dave, and Dave, thank you again for lending me that. And I hope to have another tent this week, so I'll be testing that as well and showing you a new design, which I hope you find of interest. So see you out there again soon. Cheers just now.